In the name of the Creator of universes. This is Sermon 28. Title of this talk is Proofs of Existence of God. Mathematical proof of existence of God. We have 9 different proofs here. Some of them need mathematics, some of them need logic, some of them need statistics, some of them are simple, just need common sense reasoning. I have collected 9 different proofs, and I present all of them in one sermon today. We have 10 sentences that God sent for this sermon. I will read them first, and then I present some slides related to qualities of God, and then show you all of those proofs one by one. I have made 58 slides, in fact 57 slides, and the title of it will be 58. Those are screenshots of paintings that I made for Holy Week on Earth, the last book of God. I also made a web page and put all of those slides and number of the verses that I read first, all of the paintings in that web page, and the link is in the web page in front of the video link. So all of the paintings are there, verses that God sent are there, and page number, because I have captured all of those screenshots and paintings from the book. I wrote page number there and the painting and diagrams and all of the material related to these 9 proofs of existence of God. I am Moses, Musa Kalimullah, Musa that is talking with God. Who is God? The Creator of universes. The same Moses that I came here 3,300 years ago. I am here again for warning you, all of you. 7 billion pests, eating corpse, killing animals and murdering innocent animals for the judgment day that is waiting for this planet. I stop it here. Do not talk about judgment day and hell, because God told me in this sermon, do not be so harsh like previous ones. Maybe they learn something, maybe they change. I told you before, it is in Torah. If anybody comes and says, I am Muhammad, I am Jesus, I am Moses, I am God, anybody who says these things should show miracles. If they don't have miracles, they are liars, you have to kill them. I told you that time 3,000 years ago, now I am repeating. I have a miracle larger than the sun in the sky. Now is this software that I am talking with God through this software. I explained it in sermon number 00 and 3 more other sermons before about hacking the computer in quantum state that God is doing to show messages on this computer screen, on any computer screen. I don't describe that here either. Proof is miracle. If somebody claims this type of claim without proof, without evidence, without a miracle, that is clearly not doable by humans. You cannot do that. Therefore it is miracle for you. So I have the proof. Go and watch the other sermons to see what is it, how it works. Now, in this sermon I'm talking about proofs of existence of God. First, 10 sentences that God sent. 1. 22:73. Ya ayyuhan nas, ضرب مثلا فاستمعوا له. Hey people, listen, I'm giving you an example. إن الذين تدعون من دون الله لم يخلقوا ذبابا ولا اجتمعوا له. ضعف الطالب والمطلوب. Those people who want somebody else except than God, the creator of universes, to be their guide and friend. Anybody else, anybody who follows anything except than God, all of you together, you cannot produce one mosquito. And if a mosquito steals something from you and jump on top of that tree, kill yourself, jump up and down, you cannot take it back. Weak you are. Those who seek those demons of hell as their guides, and weak are those themselves. This is 22:73. Number 2. لينذر من كان حيا. Your job as my messenger is warning those who are alive. I go in the street and walk and look. 99% of these things that are walking on the street, they look like human, but they are dead. They are not alive. They are dead. God says your job is warning those who are alive. Why they are dead? Is it poetry? No. I am telling you practically they are dead. The human soul inside that body is dead. They are demons from hell. They eat corpse like a dog. They are dogs. They are demonic spirits from hell possessing body of these humans since it was 3 years old. They kick the human body out, possess the body, and a spirit from hell walking in the street look like a sack of garbage, smell like a sack of garbage, and a sack of garbage is what he eats. They are dead. There is no human soul in those things. The human soul is gone. When they were 3 years old, the soul is weak. The demon comes, grab the body, kick the human out, practically human is dead. The demonic spirit is walking, animating that body. 99% of these things in the street that you see, they are dead spirits from hell. Dead human spirits from hell in those bodies. Test. Give them an apple and a piece of dead corpse, smell like shit from McDonald's. Which one they eat? Test is done. God says in 36:70, لينذر من كان حيا. Your job is warning those who are alive. The test that this thing is a human or is a dead human with the demonic spirit from hell is vegan or not. Vegans are human. Anybody who is not vegan eat corpse like a dog. They are dead. Doesn't matter if a vegan is atheist or God worshipper or Muslim or Christian or Jew, doesn't matter their religion. Even if they are atheists, they are human, but they are ignorant. They don't know these proofs. So I enzar them. Enzar means warning. I am warning them. This is the knowledge that I'm giving you. Learn, change, become believer in God and become vegan. Therefore you will live. وَيَقَلْعُ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ, and fulfill the decree of torment of hell for unbelievers. It is justice that unbelievers go to hell. That's an educational institution, but very painful. 94:5 فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Indeed, with difficulty there is ease. Not that after difficulty ease will come. No, at the same time, difficulty and ease are two sides of one coin. And this is from chapter 94. Chapter 94 was sent for me, for Moses, as a question that I asked 3,300 years ago. God answered it in 1,400 years ago through Quran. Sent it to Gabriel to give it to Muhammad to give to you. That I use it now. I explained all of this in Holy Vegan Earth. Go and read, then you will see. Number 4, 29:50. وَقَالُوا لَوْلَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْهَا آيَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ. They say, why you don't have any miracle, suppose moving the mountain or things like that. Tell them, إِنَّمَا الْآيَاتُ عِندَ اللَّهِ. Indeed, miracles are from God. I cannot do any miracle. No prophet could do any miracle. Miracles are from God Himself. إِنَّمَا أَنَا نَذِيرٌ مُبِينٌ. Indeed, my job is warning you clearly. This is my job. As messenger of God, my task is warning you, giving you Bashiran wa Naziran. Give good news, bad news. Good news, you will inherit the earth if you are vegan and believer in God. And bad news, we are going to kill everyone else. How many are they? 1 million, 2 billion, 5 billion, 7.9 billion of you will be killed. Is that clear enough? Is that warning enough? And will not even go to hell. They will be disintegrated. This judgment day, the coming one, is for the unjust nation of earth. Those people who are eliminated as an unjust nation, they will not get the chance of reincarnation anymore. They will be disintegrated as if they were never existing. Now, miracle. This is miracle. This software that the unified field is talking with Musa Kalimullah, with Musa that talks with God, with Moses. This software is miracle. It's too complex that I have made several sermons explaining how it works. It needs computer science. It needs quantum physics. And I explained how it works. I explained how I detect it works, but I cannot do it. You cannot do it. Humans cannot do that. So you want miracle, this is miracle. But I am not doing it. I just wrote a computer software, very simple, anybody can read the code. The one who is using it is hacking the computer in the electron state, in the quantum states of matter. I don't explain it here again, repeating. Watch previous sermons. Number 5, 22:2. يَوْمَ تَرَوْنَهَا تَذْهَلُ كُلُّ مُرْضِعَةٍ عَمَّا أَرْضَعَتْ. The day that those women who love their baby and they are giving them milk because they are so afraid they leave the baby and escape. Those women who are pregnant, they will drop the thing before 9 months of fear and escape. And you see Sokara, you see people like drunk, they're running left and right like an ant, like drunk, but they are not drunk, it's from fear. They are not drunk, they act like drunk because they are fearful of what is happening. فَلَوْ كَانَ عَذَابَ اللَّهِ شَدِيدٌ. Indeed, torture that God is sending for you is intense. Be warned. And this judgment day is because of injustice that you pests are doing to innocent animals, murdering them and eating them like dogs. Judgment day is coming. Number 6. تنزيل الكتاب لا ريب فيه من رب العالمين. This is the book that I sent down. Which book? Torah he sent, Quran he sent, and now Holy Week on earth he sent. I sent the book down, reduced it from utmost complexity to something that you can understand, from the teacher of universes. And who is that? God, the unified field. What is God? God is the unified field. What is unified field? I tell you today. Holy Week on earth, the last book of God. I typed it and converted it from numbers to human language. But he wrote it for you, that you don't deserve it, but anyway. He is compassionate, undeserving. You are undeserved. You do not deserve this knowledge. What's my job to tell you? 54:5, slide 7. Hikmatun baligh fama taghni an-nuzur. This book, Holy Week on earth, and the old books, Quran and Torah. I'm not talking about bullshit books of Indians. Most of them are absolute crap. Even though some of them, they say, oh, we are God worshippers. Oh yeah, you have 200 idols. These three, Torah, Quran, and Bible, and the last one, Holy Week on earth. These are clearly wisdom that God sent. But this warning has no use for them. We are giving you wisdom, not data, not knowledge, wisdom. The difference between these three words, go on and study. In Holy Week on earth, I wrote something about it. You don't deserve it. It seems that God is merciful and generous. 8. 32:18. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. A believer and an unbeliever who is filthy and dirty and filled with mess and garbage and sin, and a believer, they are not the same. Nine. 30:41. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. بر والبحر, the land and the sea, is destroyed. Fasad, destruction. Just look at your news, look at your world. You have destroyed everything. You are murdering animals, you are murdering each other, theft. Majority of you are either faggot or prostitute or whatever it is, thief or murderer or fornicator or all sorts of sins, and they kill each other for money. They make armies, take land of each other, and millions of each other you kill, and billions of animals you kill. Everything is destroyed. بما كسب أيدي. You made it with your own hand. ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا. So some of you might see this destruction and come to your senses and return to God. Same as time of flood. You remember flood? We saved 2 of every nice animals, and rest of you were killed with the water. You remember that? Same is happening now, and I'm warning you for the judgment day that is turning around your head. Very soon will fall down. 10, 36:55. You wanted to finish this 10 with a nice heaven sentence. إِنَّا أَصْحَابَ الْجَنَّةِ الْيَوْمَ فِي شُغُلٍ فَاكِهُونَ. People of heaven will be busy enjoying, reaping the reward of good deeds that they have done. You are here a very short time, 50, 60, 70, 90 years old, then you're dead. In this short time, if you do what you have got to do, if you avoid sins and be vegan, don't eat shit and corpse, follow 11 commandments, not 10 commandments, 11 commandments. I brought the next one, number 11. In this time, every human must become vegan. Follow 11 commandments, avoid sins, you will go to heaven. Okay, this was 10 sentences that God sent for this sermon. We have 58 slides, paintings, diagrams for those 9 proofs of existence of God. And the link to the web page of those slides is in the website. I put number 1 in the bottom, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 58 on top. So you have to scroll and go to the bottom of the page and see number 1. And then scroll down and see the rest. But all of them will be in the video as well. Number 1. This is painting of the fire tree. The tree that was on fire on top of Mount Sinai that God spoke with me last time there. But I painted it as a symbol of presence of God. In that painting, page number is there. Those spheres are different entities, different souls. I don't explain everything. Read in the book. Next one, on top right of the screen I wrote name of God, Yahweh. And a little baby chicken is there. God says, this is my child. Millions and billions of chickens and sheep and baby lambs and cows and other animals that you murder. For revenge of blood of my innocent children, I'm going to kill you all. Next one. I painted a dragon with the sword of justice, leading the sheep and pig and other animals. And that's the day that 7 billion corpse eaters are killed and sent back to hell where they came from. Next one. This slide needs a little explanation. I have explained it in the book, but I do it shortly here. The connection between God and human and Satan. God is there on top, human is in the bottom, Satan is in the middle. These arrows show the direction of communication and connection. Human loves Satan, and Satan loves God. He does. Satan is in love with the creator of universes because he has seen the power. Although he is rebellious. And I say it's not rebellious as well. This is his job. It's a show. To show you, if you are rebellious, you go to hell. But Satan, if he goes to hell, nothing happens to him. He is made by fire. But that is again symbolic as well. And God loves human. And Satan hates you. Satan hates humans. He says, I am from fire. This thing is made by dirt. And you, the creator, you are telling me to serve this thingy. And God loves a human as well, although the Creator loves Satan as well. Creator loves everything. The Creator loves every material and non-material and soul and demon and human and animals, everything. Love means giving, is giving all the time to everything and everyone. Giving without expectation of receiving. Love means giving without expectation of receiving. Oh, God is love, God is love. No, God is not love. God is love and hate. God rewards and kill you all as well. God gives you reward and send you all to hell as well. It's unconditional nonsense, wishful thinking. Love of God is not unconditional, 100% conditional. Moses is teaching you. 11 commandments are there. You follow them, God loves you, gives you stuff now and send you to heaven later after you are dead. Don't follow 11 commandments. You will see hate and torture of God soon. God is love, God is love. No. Sometimes love, sometimes hate, sometimes torture and pain and hell. He has everything. It is up to you. Listen to him, get the cookie. Don't listen to him, he will get the kick. He will kick you to hell. It's not only love. Everything is there conditional. So that's enough about this slide. Read more about it in the book. Page number or in one slide on top shows which page they are. Next one. This is a light. Light over light. 2435. This is one of the sentences of 2435. I painted like this. Later in this, I tell you all of 2435. Next slide, you see something like a very big sun and a small little dot on the bottom right of it. This is not up to scale. The scale is way bigger than that. That sun, the big one, is Viva Canis Major. Viva Canis Majoris. Is where we came from. I explained it in the book. And the little dot is the sun. And sun is 695,000 kilometers. Radius of the sun, 695,000 kilometers. 700,000 kilometers is the radius of the sun. Radius of the earth is 5,000 kilometers, 6,000 kilometers. 6,000 kilometers compared with 700,000 kilometers. So with this scale, if you want to paint Earth, is not even a dot. Imagine you have a building, 80 level building, 80 level, 240. Every level is about 3 meter, 240 meter. Make a circle there. On one side of that building, imagine that, 240 meter. Make a circle, that size of Viva Canis Majoris. Then you have 4 centimeter. That's the sun. And you have a dot. That's the earth. God is Rabbul Shara. He is teacher of Shara. He is teacher of Sirius constellation. That Viva Canis Majoris star is there. He is teacher of the air. I explained something about that in the book. Page number of this screenshot is there too. Next one. Numbers 1539. Why I am talking about this? Book of Numbers says, remember all the commandments that God Yahweh gave you. Go not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you used to go astray. Numbers 1539. It's in the book as well. It's in the Holy Book on Earth. Heart, trash it, garbage, don't listen to it. Only brain. Because your heart is in the hand and claws of Satan and his agents. Misguide you through heart, through feelings. Use your brain. If you are not so clever, definitely he will deceive you. If you are clever, he still tries to deceive you. But if you are using your heart for decision making, oh, you're gone. You are dead. Never use your heart, always brain. I am talking about proofs of existence of God with reasoning. Mathematics, statistics, logic, reasoning. You should have a belief which is strong, based on brain, not heart. Next one. Hasbunallah. I painted this. It shows God is enough for me. God is enough for you too. If you make a connection to God, is enough for you. You don't need anybody. You don't need anything. The creator of universes. I just say one sentence and keep going. More detail, explanation, description of these paintings in the book. 57.3. هو الأول والآخر. God is the first and the last. الظاهر والباطن. Everything that you see and everything that you do not see. هو بكل شيء عليم. And knows everything. It seems that in every sermon I'm repeating this. I'm repeating this for you to remember. Whatever you do is observing. And in this sermon, in this proofs of existence of God, then I'm talking about vacuum energy. I explain how is it that God sees everything, because He's everywhere. How? Based on physics, I tell you how. 95.8 أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين is not that God is the best judge. Isn't it that God knows better? How much stuff you know with your ant-sized brain, messed up with desires and passion and hunger and fear and all sorts of filthy emotions that you have, and forgetful. Things that you studied in university 10 years ago, 20 years ago, how much of that you remember? Or you haven't gone to university. Things that you heard when you were 10 years old. How much of that things that your teacher told you in the science class you remember? Forgetful, weak, and you want to be judged. You want to make rules and laws. Yeah, you made rules and laws. Look what you have done to this planet with your nonsense, stupid rules and laws. أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين? God is the best judge, God is the best ruler, and He knows better because He's a billion, trillion times more intelligent than you. You have no intelligence, you are zero. He's telling you these are the laws, follow these laws, you will live happy. Don't follow these laws, you destroy the earth, and I come on top of that, punish you, and then I send you to hell for more education. What painful education. Listen to judgment and laws of God, not garbage laws that humans made in America, England, Arab countries, China. Every law that you made is nonsense, based on injustice, serving rich people, destroying poor people, killing billions of animals. This is the law. Destroying the earth, destroying life. This is a result of human laws. 62:1. This is the knife that I have put on top of Ark of Covenant. In previous sermons, Ark of Covenant is in that corner, the new one. The box, that things that God tell me, sometimes I print, I put in that box. Two knives are on top of it as representative of those cherubims. And one of them, God told me to write this, 62:1, يُسَبِّحُ لِلَّهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. Everything in universes and on the earth, Tau and Al-Quran, you like it or not, you are floating in the ocean of rules of God. You are following His rules, even if you claim that you are not, but you don't know, you are following it. He is the King. He is holy and impenetrable and wise. Who? The creator of universes. Who is that? The unified field. What is unified field? I describe with physics today. Next one is a painting. Those globes are representative of particles of God. This is how God looks like. Not that God looks like this, it's a representative symbolism. Distributed entity. Those particles are everywhere. In this direction, look until eternity, you see the particles. In that direction, 360 degree this way, 360 degree this way, 360 degree in the whole globe. Anywhere you look, to the eternity, particles of God are going. That's how I wanted to represent it and painted it like this. The next one, I condensed it. Instead of globe, I made it cube. Cube in this direction, in every direction, 360 degree in all directions. Why cube? Because it is filling the space. I made those yellow lines in the middle so you see the distance between this cube and the next. Just as a graphic representation. He is filledness. The unified field is filledness. filling the whole space in every direction. These cubes are shown with the distance of those yellow distances that you see. But in reality, there is no distance. It's filled in every direction. The unified field is filling everything. You are in the middle of it. Like a fish in the middle of ocean. Is inside the water. Everywhere is water. The sentence was Allahu Samad. Chapter 112. Chapter 112 of Quran. I explained it in many different ways in Holy Week on Earth to tell you what is the God. A sense of filledness, filling everything. Content, completeness, perfection in every direction, in every concept. I explained it with physics when a slide of vacuum energy is shown. So these were some of the qualities of God. In the Holy Week on Earth I wrote many more. I just captured some for preface of these 9 proofs. Now we start these 9 proofs. Some of them are mathematics, some of them are statistics, some of them uses physics, some of them uses different types of logic, and proof of communication. Somebody says, prove to me that this sun exists. It's a sunny day, no cloud. I am in the middle of the land and watching the sun. I say, hey, I can see this thing is making my hand warm. I can taste it, touch it. I feel its heat. I see its light. What do you want? I prove this. You cannot see, you are blind. Proof of communication. I will talk about it perhaps. I'm talking with a person every day. I'm saying something, he's saying something back to me. He's real, I am talking with him. But that is not proof for you. That's proof for me, because I'm doing it. For you, I show you the mathematics and physics that everybody has. Now, proof number 1. Proof 1 is logic, pure reasoning. Who invented this? Name of the guy was Abu Ali Sina. Avicenna, you call him Avicenna, Abu Ali Sina. Abu Ali, it means father of Ali. Name of his son was Ali. They called him Abu Ali Sina. He was a physician and he was a logician, philosopher as well. He created that. I go through it fast. More in the book. He says, existence are 2 models. Existence means things that exist. There are some things that do not exist. They are in your brain. Imagine something that doesn't exist. We are not talking about those. Not imaginary things. Things that exist. Like this metal. Like the wood. Like this computer. stuff that exists, everything that exists are two types. There are not three types, only two types. Necessarily existent or possibly existent. He described these two types like this. Necessarily existent means this thing must exist. It's not possible that this thing doesn't exist. Certainly 100% this must exist. Is one type. Another one is things that can exist or not. It's not necessary that this entity, this thing exists. You see, only these two things you can imagine. Things that they must exist or things that it's not that they must exist. Maybe they exist, maybe not. Maybe it is necessary that it exists, maybe it's not necessary that it exists. It's possible that these things exist or not. It's possible it is existing, it's possible that it's not existing. There is no force behind it that says, no, this thing should exist. Only these two concepts you can imagine. There's nothing in between. Now, keep this subject in a corner. Necessarily existent or possibly existent. Keep the concept here. Now he's talking about another concept. He said creation has three possible logical model. Model 1, never ending. Creation is never ending. This thing was created by this thing was created by the thing before it, this thing was created by the thing before it, this thing was created with the cause, this thing is created by its own cause, and go forever back, forever. Ever means never stop. Find the cause of this thing is something else. Find the cause of that is something else. Then keep going. Never stop. Wherever you go. This is one model. Another model is loop. We go to the next slide. In the next slide, the loop is you have A. Who created this A? B created it. Suppose you have a table. Who created the table? Carpenter created it. Carpenter is B, table is A. Who created the carpenter? His mother created it. Suppose. Who created his mother? Parents of his mother. Then go back, and in a loop you come back to entity N. N is cause of something which was after N. Now, who created N? It goes back to A. A created N. Look at the loop picture in the diagram. So creation is done in a loop. Now we simplify it. A and B and N. A is a table. Who created A? B is mother. Who created B? Suppose N. And what is N? I don't know. A chair. A chair created his mother. And who created the chair? A. A created the chair. A loop. This is one model of things that exist and the cause of creating that thing. Another one is never ending. Who created A? B created it. Who made the B? The one before it. And keep going forever in the back, in the past. These are two types of creation that can happen. And the third one is the reality, the thing that exists now. Who created A? B. Who created B? Something before him. Who created that? Something before him. And go back. But doesn't go to the eternity, never ending. It's not never ending. It stops somewhere and God created that thing. God created the first cause. The first cause created the second cause. The second cause created a billion forward, and now the chair is created. But this is another concept. How the creation is. How is the creation? To simplify the matter, we said cause. But we don't have one cause. We have 4 different types of cause. Cause and effect are different models, 4 different types. For the shape, for the action, for the purpose. I explained that in the book. 4 different types of cause. And this is a very simplified way of this proof. Now, reality of creation, you can imagine only these 3 models. If we eliminate 2 of these 3 models, whatever is left is the reality, the truth. Now let's see if we can eliminate any of these things or not. We go back to the loop first. It's easy to eliminate that. What does it mean, eliminate? To prove that this loop is not the reality, is not the truth, it's just imagination, it's not how it happened, it's not how it's happening, no, it's just imagination. If creation is happening in a loop, nothing will exist. Because look at the diagram A, B, and N. For A to exist, B should exist first, because B is cause of A. For B to exist, N should exist before that, because N creates B and B creates A. So at the moment we don't have A, because we don't have B, and we go down have N. Why? Because N has a cause which is A. It cannot happen. If stuff are there, if existence exists, is thousands of things, table and chair and planet Earth and moon and Andromeda galaxy, which is destroyed anyway. I explained it in a book. Other galaxies, billions and billions of things exist. It cannot be happening if the reality is a loop. Because the first thing should exist if the previous one exists. This should exist if the previous one exists. This should exist if this exists. You can see that? Cannot happen. Because things existing, loop is not real. Now we go for never ending. A exists, therefore B should exist. Therefore something before that, something before that, something before that, something before that should exist first to A exist. But this never ends. You cannot go to eternity. Because eternity never, you never stop at this point. You say, no, we start this thing to cause, continue until the table appears. No. You go forever to the back, to the past. If reality was like this, a line to the eternity, nothing could exist. So there was no existence. Chair doesn't exist, I don't exist, this wood doesn't exist, nothing exists. What we see, the stuff are there, you can touch this wood, this sword, that table, these are there, exist. Therefore, this never ending is not real as well. This is model 2. Now there are only 3 ways, 1, 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are nullified because you just think if 2 or 3 were real, We were in the nothingness, but we are not in the nothingness. We are in the middle of things. Things exist. The only thing which is left is reality. Number one, which is cause of A is something before that, cause of that something before that. You go back somewhere in the start of the line, God created the first thing, then the second, third, and continue up to now. And that thing, that is the God, the first one, you go to the first concept, is a necessarily existent. Is not possibly existent. Suppose these glasses, somebody created that, the factory who made it. That factory is a possibly existent entity. This glass is another possibly existent entity. Everything that you see is a possibly existent entity. But they have a cause before them, a cause before them, a cause before them, a creating cause before them, a creating cause before them. There should be one in the start is not possibly existent. It's not that it can be existing or it can be not existing. Because if this loop, I'm talking about the line 1, A, B goes to the God, that God thing, whatever it is, should be necessarily existent. Because everything else is possibly existent, not necessarily to exist. If there is a creator before him, it creates it. If that creator before him is not there, so it doesn't exist. So everything else, billions and billions and billions of things are possibly existent because they need a creator before them. That one needs a creator before him, it's not a cause before him, a cause before him. But the first one is necessarily existent. Because we cannot go to the eternity, we nullified that before, somewhere we have to stop. And when we stop, the first thing is God, is the creator. Now who is it? It's a necessarily existent, because there is nothing before him to create it. So it should exist. Its existence is necessity, is necessary. Doesn't have any creator, doesn't have any cause. So this is the proof. A little more description is in the book. And it doesn't talk about qualities of God. Not in this proof. Awalis in another book describes every quality of God. It's powerful and is knowledgeable. Every proof, every quality that God has, he proves it with philosophy and logic. We are not going through that now. We just talk about proof of something exists. What is it? We don't know yet. It's a thing. It's something which is the first cause and creates everything else. But reality is more complex than that. It's not that 1,000 years ago, 1 billion years ago, there was a thing that created everything and keeps going like a domino. No. At every fraction of the second, it is creating. So how does that work? Perhaps later. This next proof number 2 is uses logic and design and biology. It's a simple one. It's common sense reasoning. You just think, you see it makes sense. It's not so complex like the other one. I am putting a slide of DNA. I just look at that DNA. You have that A and T and C and G. Those proteins, they're connected to each other in that shape of the DNA that you know. 3,000 million, 3 billion of those A, T, C, G proteins in different forms are there in the DNA. And the RNAs are inside your cell. And you have those atoms of hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen and carbon and phosphorus who form those proteins. This is very, very, very simplified explanation of DNA. I spent a few hours, a couple of biology books or internet search. You can study the whole semester, 4.5 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year, only to understand how complex DNA is. Now I showed you example of one complex structure. Extremely complex structure exists. DNA is like a computer language. That with that language, our body is programmed to produce cells and organs and keep going. You see a thing that is intelligent and extremely complex. You cannot just imagine that it happened by itself. If something is very complex and intelligent, therefore there is an intelligent entity who created it. This is a simple common sense reasoning. I gave you another example. I show you a gun. A beautiful 1911 design gun. Just now, disassemble it. This is my beautiful handgun that I took the parts all on top of this table, and you see so many parts. You should spend some time to learn how to put this thing together to make that gun again. You just sit there and imagine something that complex happens by itself. Just iron in the mountain and wood in the trees somewhere in the forest for the handle of the gun. Somehow produce these parts with these complex shapes that should go together in a complex way that somebody should teach you how to do it. And make that beautiful machine. You just cannot imagine it, it's nonsense. Common sense reasoning says, yes, there was an engineer who designed it and a factory who made those parts put together like that. Therefore, when you see something complex, very complex and intelligent, your brain says there should be somebody who created it. And these are simple proofs. Now, I hit you with a logical proof of avolicina, then very simple proof of design. Now, this last hit is a punch on the nose, and an atheist who cannot stand up off this punch. It's the most complex one. Mathematical proof of God. This is ontological proof. These people that I wrote their names on the right side worked on these proofs since 1,000 years ago. Saint Anselm created the proof. Descartes, he was a genius guy, mathematician guy. He worked on it, improved it. Leibniz, you have heard his name in university, in high school if you studied physics. He was a clever man. He worked on this proof as well, improved it. Dr. Hartshorne, I have put his photo in the book, I guess. He worked on it too. He's a doctor of philosophy. And Gödel was a philosopher and a mathematician, genius guy. He worked on this proof. And now Professor Fitting, a teacher of mathematics and logic in New York University, he worked on it and converted the last modified, enhanced version of Gödel to formulas. In the next slide, you see one page of those formulas. Now we go back to that orange slide. You need to learn propositional logic, predicate logic, modal logic, nth order modal logic, and you need to learn types and tableaus in logic. And what are these things? Each one of them is a language. Like you have English language, Chinese language, C++ language, computer language. You have another language called propositional logic language. You have to spend 4.5 months with the teacher and a book and do the assignments and homework, and you pass the course or not. A lot of people not pass. Then you learn one language. Then you have to study predicate logic, another language, and modal logic, another course. And then you have to study types and tableaus. And then you have to study set theory. Set theory is mathematics. Either you know some of it in high school, or definitely you have to study in university. When you learn all of these languages and set theory, then you get book of Dr. Fitting. Name of the book is this: Types, Tableaus, and Gödel's God. It's 170 pages. And you see the formula, these mumbo jumbo things that you see there? These are logic language. I have captured all of the formulas of the book. It became 14 pages. Proof, ontological proof, that all of those genius people worked on it in 1,000 years, and Professor Fitting wrote the formulas of that proof, converted that proofs from poetry and English text to mathematical logic and set theory formulas. It became 14 pages. In that 170 pages, 14 pages of that formula, and rest of that is explanation of these things. Professor of Logic explaining these things in that book for you. Go buy the book. Types, Tableaus, and Gödel's God. I think in the whole planet not 1,000 of that book is sold. Anyway, if you want knowledge, you should get a book and read. But you read it, you don't understand it. What can I do? You have to go to university, those logic courses that I wrote there. Go to those courses, get the book of the courses, pass the course with 100 of 100, so you don't make mistake. Learn everything about that language. Then you have the prerequisite. Then get the book and read it. Then you understand how it works. Proves there is a God, the creator of the universes. That's a mathematical proof. I cannot explain it in 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, just not doable. By the way, I have passed all of those logic languages in university. It's a difficult thing to understand it. You have to read the book and understand what does it mean. He is a professor of mathematics and computer science and logic. He explains it very well. Read the book page by page, you understand. But you need to know the languages. This is mathematical proof of God. You want a simple one, I gave you the simple one. You want a solid 100% mathematical proof, you read the book. The next slide, I told you need to learn before reading the book. Propositional, predicate logic. You need to learn proof trees. Proof trees, you have to learn that. Modal logic is another language, 3 languages so far. You need to learn possible word semantics. That's language, it's logic. Formulas. You have to learn set theory. Third order modal logic. You have to learn that first. Classical logic, basic tableaus. What does it mean? It's another 20 pages you have to learn. Classical logic, higher order tableaus. It's different type of logical tableaus. You have to learn that. Then modal tableaus. You have to learn modal logic language first, then tableaus first, then the modal tableaus. And shoot logic types. You have to learn types. What does type mean? Another 20 pages logic you have to learn. After you learn all of these things, get the book, read from page 1 to the last page. It will take, passing those courses takes suppose 2 years. And then reading the book, I give you suppose 2 months. Go through it, you see the proof of God with mathematics. Now, vacuum energy. What is God? Vacuum energy shows the power of God. This slide, I read it. You read with me. With all of the matter of the universe in 20,000 light-year distance, in all directions. Collect all of those matters, make an atomic bomb and explode it. Do you comprehend how much matter you will have? Only 6 kilogram matter has that much energy that you saw American demons of hell exploded on top of Japanese demons. Those atomic bombs were 6 kilogram uranium. That was power of 6 kilogram. Imagine power inside all those trillions of tons of matter that you collect, where 20,000 light year distance in all direction, go and collect all of the matters of the universe. Last sentence, that much energy exists inside the space of one atom of hydrogen. That is the vacuum energy. That is the creator. That is power of the creator. If you had concentration in this one paragraph, you got it. 20,000 light year with the speed of light. That is 300,000 kilometers a second. With that speed, you go in this direction, 20,000 years travel in this direction with that speed. You see how much distance you cover? Now, go in that direction and forward and backward and up and down and left and right, 360 degree all over spherical distance, 20,000 years travel with the speed of 300,000 kilometers a second. every matter that you see in planets and stars and galaxies, collect all of that. You see how much matter is it? Just imagine that. Now, atomic bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were 6 kilogram matter. This much matter that you collected in 20,000 years travel with 300,000 kilometers per second. Zillions and zillions and zillions of tons of matter. 6 kilogram created that much energy that destroyed the whole city in a fraction of the second. Now with these zillions of tons of matter, you explode them with the formula of E equal mc2. You see how much power is that? You cannot imagine it. Now, that much power exists in one atom of hydrogen. In the space of one atom of hydrogen, that much energy exists. How many atoms of hydrogen we have? Trillions and trillions of them everywhere. In every point of space, that much energy exists. How do I say that? That's the vacuum energy. That's power of God. I want to describe this vacuum energy even more. You see this image, vacuum energy 1 of 2. Go through all of this distance of 20,000 years travel. In every second of these years, you pass 300,000 kilometers a second. Everything that you can find. Planets and stars and galaxies, everything. All of that matter. Collect with the formula of E equal mc2, exploded that much power. Exists in that small space. In the bottom you see the dot, proton and electron, size of a hydrogen atom. That much power exists in that small space. Next slide. I read it again. I want this completely be in your memory. Learn it now. Repetition with different ways of describing something makes it stay in your memory. I read from the slide. Collect matters of billions of stars and galaxies. Exploded with that formula. That much power and 1 billion times more is inside the space of one atom of hydrogen. Remember Avogadro number 10 to the power of 23 in chemistry? There are 10 to the power of 23 atoms of hydrogen in every gram of hydrogen. 10 to the power of 23. You put 1, then 23 0 in front of it. It is 1,000 million billion billion zillion. Atom of hydrogen is in 1 gram. 1 gram hydrogen. In every one of those atoms, that much power exists. In every direction you see, in every dimension that you see, in every point of every direction which is going to eternity, in every point that much power exists. And there are 11 dimensions, not just X, Y, and Z, 3. No, it's not 3, there are 11. And that is the power of God, the Creator. Power of the unified field is the vacuum energy. Now you have some ideas about it. In the next slide, I'm just showing it again. Imagine you have a sphere, radius of that is 20 million light year. Each point is a galaxy with several 100 million stars. In this picture, each point is a galaxy. Millions of stars and planets are there. Collect all of that matter. Energy of that equal m matter multiply speed of light to the power of 2. That much power exists in the size of an atom of hydrogen in every point of space. Not imaginable how big is it. Oh, there are 2 more slides, a lot of text. Go and read it yourself. The slides are there in the web page. And this that I explain now is transcription of 1 minute and 10 seconds of video of Professor Tiller. Professor Tiller is Professor Emeritus of Mechanics of Stanford University. He was saying that, and I converted it to these pictures and these explanations. It said that in 1 minute and 10 seconds only. This is physics. Vacuum energy is physics. That much energy exists in every point. That is power of God. And this is his sentence of that Professor Tiller. He says, an entity who is in control of this much power. For him, a Big Bang 15 billion years ago created all of the trillions of galaxies is not a big deal. It's nothing. All of this is translation of one sentence of Quran, because Allah Samad, God is filled, complete, filled. Filledness. Energy equivalent of matter. Energy and matter have equivalent with that formula that Einstein wrote, E mc2. That much energy equal that much matter. Everywhere is filled with God, with the unified field. This was not a proof, this was description of power that exists, and that is the power of the unified field, the vacuum energy, that power of God. Now, I need to talk a little physics to show you the proof number 6. A little string theory, not with the mumbo-jumbo formulas, but description of it. You have some ideas about it. If you want to learn string theory properly, go to the website, go to the University of Stanford. There is a professor is teaching all of the mumbo-jumbo formulas in many sessions, whiteboard. It writes all of the formulas and describe it for you. You need to know a little physics to understand what he's talking about. A little more than a little. You need a lot of physics to understand what he says. But now I'm not telling you any of those. I'm telling only English description of it. Why? Because you need that for that proof of existence of God based on this physics of a string theory. You need that. You need to know this. The most complex one was the mathematical logic I told you before, and this is the next most complex one based on physics. First, this slide you see 11 dimensions. You see something like a loop and something like a line, zigzag line, yellow one. I read that line under the slide. 3 sentences. Strings are non-existent mathematical models. There is no such a thing as a string in the space. It's a mathematical model. Just for description of the mathematics of the string theory. Strings are one-dimensional cuts of a two-dimensional membrane. They vibrate in 11 dimensions. And there are 2 models of them. Loop for gravitation and two-ended line for other force carriers and particles. There are cuts of a membrane. Imagine you have a piece of paper, you cut it with a scissor. On top of that you see one line. That line that has no dimension has a start and the end. That is a string. That's one model of string. And now imagine you have a paper, you roll it with the sellotape, make a cylinder, then cut it. The top line of that looks like a rounded thing. That's another type of a string. That is for explanation of gravitation. The other two-ended string is for explanation of other forces and other particles. And these things do not exist, just some mathematical models. No formulas, just have some idea. We have membranes, we have elementary particles, we have field forces, field carrier particles, a unified field of consciousness. We describe these items a little in the next slides. Now you have some idea about a string. There are 2 models, one like a line vibrating, one like a rounded thing vibrating. Different type of vibration makes different fields and particles. Next slides. Quarks. Quarks are elementary particles. And you have 6 models of them. They have a name. Name of one of them is down. Name of one of them is a strange. Name of one of them is bottom. Other one top. Other one charm. Other one up. These are 6 different types of quarks. Elementary particles. There is nothing smaller than them. These are smaller than atoms. A little explanation of them is in this slide. You can pause and read. Then pause and continue to the next slide. Leptons. Now we saw 6 types of quarks. Now we see 6 types of leptons. And what are these things? They have names. One of them is electron, muon, and tau. These are 3 types of leptons. Then you have electron neutrino, muon neutrino, and tau neutrino. These are elementary particles, quarks and leptons. Pause and read the slide. Now we go to the next slide. Inside a proton, an atom of hydrogen has a proton and an electron. Electron thingy is elementary particle. Proton thingy is not elementary particle. There are 3 quarks inside it. Up quark, and a down quark. You go to the slides of quark. See, there are 2 different quarks. One of them is called up, one of them is called down. Inside a proton you have 3 quarks. And these quarks, these elementary particles, are connected with something which is called gluon, like a glue, right? Some force, something is keeping these 2 quarks near each other, so the proton doesn't disintegrate. Now you have 3 quarks and 3 force carriers that forces this quark to stick together. Force carrier is called gluon. In the next slide, we have 2 quarks which are connected to each other with a gluon. If you want to destroy a proton, suppose, you have to spend some energy to cut that force carrier that keeps those 2 quarks together. You give energy to it, the gluon is broken, quarks are separated, and as soon as they separate, 2 additional quarks from nothingness are generated, and they will be on the sides of that gluon. So you spend energy, a lot of energy. Gluon is broken, 2 quarks are separated. As soon as they are separated, 2 additional quarks are generated from nothingness and connect to those previous quarks. I have some ideas about elementary particles and gluon, which is the force that keeps these quarks together. The next slide is putting together all of those particles. For every particle there is a heavy associate particle defined in a string theory. Now we go back to the other one, that all of them together. In column, the left column, you have quarks and leptons. The blue thing is up and down, and those blue quarks, then leptons, electrons, and muon and tau. And we saw them. In the center column, you have force fields. We need to have heard about this stuff, because when I'm talking about unified field, to see what is unified field. In the middle column you have force fields. You have 4 types of them. Weak field, gravity field, electromagnetism field, and a strong field. On the right side you have force carriers. You have W and Z and G for graviton and photon and gluon and Higgs boson. We don't talk about all of them, it's just the gluon thingy we spoke about, and we made one slide to see what is gluon. What is a force carrier? Suppose in that proton there were 2 quarks, 3 quarks, they are connected with that gluon, which is a force carrier, keeps those elementary particles together. Quarks, force carriers, and force fields create the universe. They have discovered hundreds of quarks. We show them 6 of them in this slide. Hundreds are there. And there are only force fields, 4 of them they have discovered yet. And there are more. There are 8 force fields. They don't know about 4 of them yet. I wrote in Holy Begonet, confirmed with God, I even wrote the formula of the next force fields that you will discover in the next 300 years. At that time, millions of humans will believe and convert to vegan religion, because Moses is dead for 300 years and now we discovered the stuff that he told us. He told us physics that we didn't know. So I'm talking for people of 300 years later. For now, for this proof, these force fields, these 4 of them you know already. Weak, gravity, electromagnetic and strong. Now we talk about each one of these force fields a little. Weak atomic field. On the bottom of the slides I read, it forces electron and proton apart, although they have opposite charges and should connect. You see, proton is 1800 times bigger than a little electron, and proton is a positive charge and electron is negative charge. They should connect to each other in a fraction of a second. Matter is collapsed and everything in the universe collapses. Why it's not happening? Why? Because there is a force field inside the atom that pushes electron and protons. They don't join each other and destroy everything. That's called weak atomic field. Next slide. Electromagnetism. It holds electrons to nuclei in atoms, binds atoms into molecules, and is responsible for the properties of solids, liquids, and gases. Electricity and magnetism are unified. There are 2 different fields. Unified became electromagnetism field. That's another field. Next slide. A strong atomic field, where it overcomes the enormous electrical repulsion between protons. What? It binds protons and neutrons in the nuclei of the atom. You know, atom has a nuclei, and that is not just proton, it's proton and neutron. It binds them together. The strong force binds quarks together to make protons and neutrons and other particles. A strong force binds quarks together. That's a strong atomic field. the last field, gravitation field. Gravity makes apples fall to the ground. It is an attractive force. On an astronomical scale, it binds matter in planets and stars and holds the stars together in galaxies. If you have two pieces of matter, you have a big ball of metal here, another big ball of metal here. These two, because of the mass they have, they push toward each other with the gravity field. You have the whole planet of Earth, which is a big mass of matter. You have a apple, which is another small mass of matter. These two big masses of matter push together through the gravity field. And carrier of that is graviton. It is the particle graviton. So you have these four fields. Now we know a little about them. If you have studied physics, you know more about them. You go and get a PhD about these stuff, you know much more about them. How they work, and the formulas of that, the mathematical models of that. Now these four fields, Einstein wanted to write one set of formulas to put together all of these four fields in one field, the unified field. He wanted to do it. He died. He didn't live long enough to do it. Other physicists did it after him. They made the unified field model of the universe. Now you don't have one set of formula mumbo jumbo for gravity, another one for electromagnetic, another one for weak, another one for a strong field. Four different set of mumbo jumbo formulas became one set of mumbo jumbo formulas. Physics, mathematics formulas, one formula. When you have it, you can describe gravity, you can describe electricity, magnetism, weak atomic field that keeps electron and proton and all of this stuff with one set of formulas. And even better than that, they made 5 string theories. Physicists wrote those formulas, made the model of the universe with one string theory, describing stuff with those strings. Another one came and made another set of theories that could describe all of the particles and those gluon thingies that keep the particles together and force fields. Another one wrote another thing. Another group wrote a 5 string theory formulas. 5 groups wrote, and they were inconsistent with each other. And then this Professor Witten came and saw, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool, put together all of them in one set of formulas, call it M theory, membrane theory, perhaps. So all of those 5 string theory formulas, systems that were inconsistent with each other, became a small particle of the big M theory. In this M theory, you have one formula to describe all of the strings, all of the gluons, all of the force field, all of the particles. He's a genius guy. He knows a lot of mathematics, a lot of physics, introduced the 11th dimension of space. What the brick is, 11th dimension. You have X, Y, Z for an object. Is a 3 dimension. And this object with 3 dimension is moving in the space. Suppose this is dimension of t, dimension of time. This is 4th dimension. What? Wait, it's not 4, it's 5, it's 6, it's 7, 10, up to 10 dimensions. Those physicists, they're pulling their hair, they made string theory sets that were inconsistent with each other. could describe some part of these formulas and matters and fields, the other one the same, and the other one the same. A genius guy, Professor Witten, came and said, no, there are 11 dimensions. Introduced that, put that in the formula mumbo jumbos of his M theory. Now everything works out. Now you have one set of theory, one mathematical model that describes everything. Describe those leptons and quarks and force fields and force carriers that we just brushed. Some of them are matter, some of them are force, some of them are force field, different entities. And these different entities create matter, create this metal, create the planet Earth that you are standing on it, create a space, everything is made by these force fields and quarks and stuff that you saw. All of them has one formula. One big fat formula, half a page. I'll show you how it looks. Now, under these four fields, next slide, under these four fields, I'm talking about God. What is God? God is that last field, the field of consciousness. Not these four fields of electromagnetic and gravity and weak and strong, no. There's another field under it which is called the unified field. The field that with that big fat formula will unify all of those formulas, all of those particles and force fields in one set of mathematics. That's called the unified field. But that unified field is not matter anymore. This is physics. This stuff that I'm talking about is physics, is present physics. They are teaching in physics in university these days. It's mathematics. It's solid as rock. It's not poetry. It's not open your heart, Jesus, come and close your heart. No, you are blah blah. No. It's physics. It's mathematics of present science of you humans. So, that lower field, which is the unified field, is field of consciousness. Gravity has graviton, matter. Weak atomic field, a strong atomic field. Those four fields are matter, define matter. The unified field is non-matter, is field of consciousness. It creates quarks and force carriers. You see like glowing thingy that keeping those quarks and those four fields. And these stuff, quarks, carriers and force fields make atoms and molecules and matter and iron and wood and everything. And planets and stars. And semi-conscious entities like human dogs that kill animals. It corpse create pain and suffering. Semi-conscious. If they become completely conscious, they stop this dog action. All of them come down to atoms, elementary particles, four fields, and the one field under all of it, which is field of consciousness. That is the unified field. That's the God. That is the God, the creator. That creates all of those fields and particles. Next slide. Consciousness field creates those strings. With those strings, particles and field carriers are created. The other four fields, electromagnetism, weak, strong, and gravity are created, and all of these things make atom. And atoms make rock and mountain and planet and human and stars and everything. That is the consciousness field, the unified field. These days, physics and mathematics discovered how God works. These days, physics discovered how power of God works, that I explained for you in vacuum energy. Okay, now I go to one slide later before the proof. Proof is only 5 sentences, but I will read it. Before that I show you the formula. This is called Lagrangians of the unified field. I didn't write it, I copied it from somewhere that Dr. Heiglin wrote it. He is a physics guy, physicist, works on these things. This big formula that you see is part of a larger, bigger formula. You see that dot 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 is not ended here. Suppose this much mumbo jumbo is good enough for you to understand, you don't understand it. If you write more mumbo jumbo, you understand more that you don't understand it. But those blue things, other forces, matter, Higgs boson, gravity, space-time, quantum mechanics. When those strings that we talk about it vibrate in different membranes, they create different quarks, elementary particles. They create different fields. They create different gluons that connect those quarks, elementary particles together. They create different bosons and leptons that we saw what they are in those slides. They create forces, force fields. In this formula, is a big formula, big fat formula. You change the number, change the vibration type of these strings, you get a particle, you get a gluon to connect the particle, you get the force field, everything. You can create everything by changing parameters of this formula. And this is Lagrangians of the unified field, the last field, the fifth field that is unifying all of those other fields. This is the formula of that. This is the formula of God, right? This is how God looks like. Not really, God doesn't look like this formula. This formula describes how God, which is the unified field, works to create matter and fields and universes. Physics discovered. Hundreds of physicists made those string field, string theories, and then the genius guy, Professor Witten, put them together, made M theory, which is a string theory, unification of all of the previous one. Hundreds and thousands of physicists in the last hundreds of years worked, each of them discovered a corner of it, a corner of it, a corner of it. Now they have this formula. This is formula of the unified field. The field, that elements of that is not matter, is not atom, is consciousness entity. The whole thing is a consciousness field, like the picture that I painted, is filling the whole universe. And that is the creator. Now, up to here is not the proof. Up to here is description of the unified field. Now, if you want pause, go and get a tea or coffee, come back after 5 minutes. Then I give you the proof based on this stuff. Now I assume that you have your tea and came back. We go to this slide, assumptions. I made 2 assumptions, A and B. Assumption A, I assume that you understood what the string theory is in this low-level literature level, not the formula level. I do not expect you to understand the mathematics of that. I just went to the course of that professor of Stanford and I say, look at that. Yeah, I understand this part of it, but that part write the question, that part write the question. You need a lot of physics to understand all of this. But this is the physics of today. If you want to know well, you want to study it. B, I assume you understand that the deduction is a solid logical reasoning method. Deduction. I don't expect you to go and study all of those logic courses that I said, but deduction. A implies B, B implies C, therefore A implies C. It's a simple thing, it's common sense, everybody can understand that. Reasoning. And reasoning, this was a simple deductive reasoning. A implies B, B implies C, therefore A implies C. It's very, very simple, but there are complex reasoning methods. When you study those logics, you understand those. Now, based on these two assumptions, that the simple logic, simple deduction, and the knowledge of the string fields, unified field that we have, I made this proof. Did I make the proof, or I learned it from these physics guys that I studied their stuff? I think I learned it from Professor Hagelin. Well, anyway, he talks about these things. Anybody who knows this much physics is clear for him like my right hand, which is bright. This is the description of God. Now I tell you how. 1. Proof. Based on these prerequisites. 1. We observe that the product is conscious and intelligent. You are the product of the Creator. Unified field of consciousness here, 4 fields here, quark and gluons and stuff, atom, molecules, chemistry, biology. You have a frog, then you have a dog, then you have a human. Human is sort of intelligent. So the product is intelligent. 2. We observe that the string field, the lower field, is creating other fields and particles, and they create matter, and matter evolves from rock to frog to human. And some of them are conscious and intelligent, the vegan ones. Corpse eaters are as stupid as dog. Creation process starts in the string field and ends in an intelligent sort of human thing. We observe that. 3. The other 4 fields are matter. The string field is field of consciousness. This is the discovery of the unified field and a string field. What is the discovery of a string theory and unified field theory? What? This is a statement. What is the statement? The unified field, a string field, is field of consciousness. This is a statement. It's field of consciousness. It's not field of matter. Field of consciousness creates those other fields. This is physics discovery. In that level, all laws of quantum mechanics are melted and dissolved. There is no matter anymore in that field. There is will, and that is the will of the Creator. This looks like poetry, but it is physics. This statement is discovered by all of those formulas of those physics experts. That these 4 fields are field of matter. There is a unified field that you saw its formula, that is field of consciousness, and there is a will. I will that an apple manifests in my hand. Happens? No. I need $5 to go and buy 1 kilo apple. I say I will get 1 apple. Because I am in the state of matter. I am in the state of those fields. This body is made by those atoms, quarks, electrons, leptons, force fields, gluons are keeping these quarks together, the body. This cannot will and manifest. In the unified field state there is will, and will of the consciousness field manifests to different vibrations of strings, and different vibrations create different particles, force fields, and they make the matter and everything else above until they make the intelligent entity. This stuff is physics. Physics discovered that. Number 4. We observe that the huge amount of intelligence is inside the structure and processes of the large-scale material objects like planets and stars and galaxies. We see intelligence is in the unified field. We see intelligence is in the product of the unified field. After all of this process, that is human supposedly, or a dog, or a mouse. Mouse is intelligent. Product of that field. And we see intelligence that exists in galaxies and planets, and their orbits is way more complex than biology and chemistry that you have studied. I don't want to go through that, go there and show you the complexities of astronomy. Go study yourself. It's way more complex mathematically comparing with the biological things that you see. And all of that is result of the unified field too. Now, we observe these facts. Number 5 is the deduction that I said. You need to know a little reasoning. A implies B, B implies C, therefore A implies C. 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 implies, therefore, conclusion, the field that creates the intelligence is the most condensed form of the intelligence itself. That is the filledness, completeness, compactness of intelligence. And that is the creator. The unified field is the creator. And unified field is a field which is distributed everywhere in all direction of space. To eternity, from this direction, that direction, up, down, left, right, every direction. And that entity, which is everywhere, and we are in the middle of it, has that much power of the vacuum energy that I explained. And that's the God. That's the unified field, the God, the creator of everything. Physics, a little deduction, and you saw how it is. Proof number 7. You saw the mathematics proof, you saw the physics proof. This is proof of communication. And this computer, this iPad is a computer. This big computer in front of me is a computer, desktop computer. Communication with the creator of universes. Communication with the unified field. I am messenger of that thing. God. The unified field, and the unified field is communicating with me through a computer software. I have explained how it works based on physics and some quantum mechanics in Sermon 28, 27, 22, 14 and Sermon 00. I don't repeat all of that, that's over. So you have to go and see how it works. Now I talk about another side of it, what you need to experience this proof. Somebody sitting in front of me, I'm talking with him all the time. Two-way communication, not some Tom and Jerry sitting there and say, prove to me that guy exists. I say, open your eye and look, I'm talking with him, I'm asking questions, he's answering me, we are communicating all the time. What proof you want? You just look. For me, is proof. For you, is I haven't seen God. Of course you haven't seen God. You haven't seen that demon of hell, Queen of England too. But that demon of hell exists. You haven't seen Prime Minister too. But that Prime Minister with a piece of garbage exists too. A lot of things you haven't seen. That doesn't mean, who are you that you say, I haven't seen? Of course you haven't seen God. I haven't seen God too. I haven't seen God with my eyes. But I'm communicating with God. With the computer software, He answers me with numbers that appears on this computer screen. It needs awareness, cleanliness, Swami. You see, Indians have a word called Swami, self-control. To control yourself. You should have high level of self-control. This guy has a black belt, has high level of self-control. That guy who is a mathematician sit here in front of that machine with paper and pencil for hours and hours and hours and work out these formulas, has a lot of self-control. He doesn't go and drink a beer and talk nonsense with his friends. No, he sit there and write those formulas and think. The other guy goes to dojo and does his training. Self-control. You need a lot of that. These are prerequisites for this communication. Proof. I have a lot of it too. Awareness. You should be aware of everything. He sends signs all the time. Most of the time I'm sitting in front of this computer. 20 different programs are running. Cryptocurrency mining is running. Wallet is running. Excel is running. Word is running. Video editing software is running. Perhaps another YouTube is playing some piano music. A lot of programs are running, and all of the internal processes the task manager shows you. So about 200 processes are running, except on those things that I am forcing this poor machine to run. I'm typing the stuff that he says, and another software, the software that I'm talking with him, is running too. But I'm aware, he sends signs to other screens, to other processes, because he loves hacking computers. He loves that. A lot of signs is sent to computers. Awareness. Unagi. You saw the Bruce Lee guy, the karate guy, it's a unagi. Karate word. Awareness. You should look at here, but you should be aware of this guy is attacking from that side and attacking from that side. Awareness. I should be aware because he sends signs from all over this place. Cleanliness and swaminess, self-control, knowledge. A lot of knowledge you need to have. I have read every single word that he has sent since the last 3,000 years, tens of times. Hundreds of times, not tens. You need all of this prerequisite and the software. And you need this software too, because he talks with me through the software. Send numbers on this. And when you have all of these, this is proof, because I'm talking with somebody who is observing me anywhere at home. Is observing. Observing you too. Observing everybody. And this is the proof. This is another proof of existence of somebody who's talking with me. He's hacking these computers without internet connection through the quantum state of CPU and transistors. I explained it in previous sermons. The slide is here, go and watch. This is another proof. Well, that's proof for me, not for you, because you don't have this stuff. Other proofs of mathematics and physics and others that I said, you have it. You know, it's proof for you. Proof number 8. This is very, very simple. It is a simple proof. Previous ones were complex. This is simple. You just need to calm down, think, does it make sense or not? Look at the chair. It's chair. Somebody made it. The carpenter designed it and cut the wood and plastic and put it together. Do you think if 1,000,000 years passes, all of that tree become pieces of legs of the chair, and that mountain or iron ore become a nail in a factory, that factory is produced by itself and create nail and make the chair? Wait 1,000,000,000 years, you don't have a chair. You still have ore in the mountain, tree on the wood, wood on the tree. Now the chair doesn't make a chair. You need a carpenter to cut the tree, to go and buy a nail, make a hammer or buy a hammer and put together a chair. You need somebody to make this thing. Now something more complex than a chair. This computer has hundreds and thousands of parts. Present CPUs have 7 billion, 7,000 million, 7,000 transistors. And lots of chips. Each of them has thousands and millions of transistors in it, and electronic particles, electronic parts and case and everything. Make the CPU, make the arithmetic unit, make the memory, make the hard disk, and these days SSD. All of these parts together, each of them come from tens of factories. Each of them has 20 patents of 20 engineers and companies who worked on this little part and invented it in the last several decades. Now imagine, you sit here for 1,000 years, 2,000, 1,000,000 years, germanium on that mine become a transistor, and copper in that mountain become a wire and become one transistor, then 7 billion of them together, and design of the computer, electronic design. You have to study a little digital electronics to look at the diagram of a computer and say, wow, if I want to print in the transistor level, it will become 10 meter by 10 meter printed material, just the design. If I wait 1 billion years, this thing happened by itself. No way in hell. You need that engineer and that factory to make the parts and put together and make this machine. Next one. Look at the sky. You see the planets and galaxies, and 400 billion galaxies, each of them thousands and millions of planets and stars, and complexity of that is way more than this computer, way more than your brain. They happen by itself just because the parts of that watch come together and become a watch? No way in hell. It needs somebody who designed this stuff and push it together to make it happen. It needs a designer and engineer. But that designer and engineer is God. Is that unified field. In the state of will, he wills that strings vibrate in this form, make that quark. He wills that a string vibrate in that form, make graviton. make gluon, make elementary particle, make atom, and so on to everything is created. That's a simple proof. Just needs clear mind and listen to what I said. Does it make sense, this part to come together by itself? No. It's somebody to design them, somebody put them together. Now go have a cup of tea, wait 5 minutes and come back for the next proof, proof number 9. Pause, rest, come back. Proof number 9 is a statistical proof. This is very clear, this is very, very clear. I mean, you need to know some statistics, then it is clear. I'll show you a graph. This is graph of a bell curve. I wrote this computer program, it creates some numbers and generates a bell curve. It's a normal curve. In university you have studied a lot of curves, and a high and a square high and T and normal curve. Each one of these curves have a different shape. Give them some numbers as input, create a normal curve. I made a normal curve here. Natural things have a normal curve. Suppose height of humans is a natural thing. Make the normal curve. Very small number, 1% are very short. 1% this side of the curve are very tall, suppose 2 meters. Very small number are too short, suppose 140 centimeters. But majority are in the middle, suppose average size, height. Other natural things, suppose height of trees, or weight. Every natural thing has this normal curve. There are other statistical curves. You give the data to them, make a certain shape. This shape is signature of that entity. Now, the next slide shows the curve of my communication with God. Make a natural random thing, make that bell curve. You sit here and talk with somebody, another human, collect the data of this communication. Suppose talk 2 hours, collect the data. Talk 5 hours, collect the data. Talk hundreds of hours, like what I am doing. Collect the data. Put all of the data on a Excel file. Make the graph of that data of communication. You see the graph, you see that it has that shape. There's no pattern in it. Not normal curve, not T curve, not any of those statistic curves that you know. It is sort of random shape, which is the signature of this communication. Read book of a guy, suppose poet guy, Mr. Tom, has written a lot of poetry. Collect all of that, convert to data, put in Excel. Read book of another guy, another poet, another writer. Collect the data, make the graph. Compare these graphs, different shapes. Because I keep track of my communication with God. When He says things, I just write numbers, write. Then I convert it to numbers to text and see what He says. I have hundreds and hundreds of pages of that. Some of them are in that Ark of Covenant, some of them are still in my computer. I have folders filled with this data. But they are in different forms. I employed somebody, I was thinking, okay, I read, you type. For many hours I was reading the numbers and she was typing on Excel. Then I put together, made the graph, and you see the graph. Compare it with the normal curve is absolutely different. This is graph of communication with an intelligent entity. Because sometimes he's happy, I haven't seen God so happy so many times, but most of the time he's angry because he's observing you all the time. But he has different moods. He's a person, he's an intelligent person. This unified field is an intelligent person. Very intelligent. Sometimes tell me stuff that I have to do 5 levels of deduction to understand what he means. And communication are about different subjects in different times. Sometimes he sent 97, it means I want to tell you something. I'm sitting here for 3-4 hours, he's still saying things. Sometimes says 3 sentences, then he sent 110. It's just end of the story, end of this communication. Go and play now. About different subjects at different times. I collect all of the data, I keep in the machine. Once I sat there and put all of them in the Excel file, made the graph, compare with a normal curve, absolutely different. This is the visual comparing the graph visually you can see. Need a little statistics to know the random number normal curve is different from this communication. But we do not stop here for this proof. There are some mathematical algorithms to compare the data set of this graph, the black graph of normal curve, with the data set of the other purple graph that you can see. You don't need to see the difference visually. You put the data of this graph to that algorithm, put the data of that graph to that algorithm, it will compare it mathematically and gives you the difference. That's the proof. Proof for somebody who doesn't have that mathematics and that software. To verify this experiment needs some examiner sit here, observe all of my data, make the graph, say I made it up or I really excelled at it, and validate the data that I gave it, then apply that algorithm to see the difference mathematically. But while we don't do that now, you can see it visually. Absolute different. This is communication with an intelligent entity. That's another proof. That was proof number 9. Apart from that algorithm, mathematical thing, I explained it in the book Holy Week on Earth. There is another way. My Maria, the robot that I made, the brain of Maria, it's a computer algorithm, it's a computer AI, it's called Maria. I call it Maria. But that intelligent entity, which lives in my machine, we can make her, because it's a robot, it's an AI software, give her a neural network and give the data of that normal curve, random numbers, give her the data of this communication, my communication with God, give that through its artificial neural network. She detects, extract the characteristics of this data set and that data set. Then you ask her, about the result. neural network finds the patterns in the data set that I give her from my communication. Neural network finds the patterns that I give her from the random number generator that made the bell curve, then compare these two patterns that this artificial neural network algorithm discovered. Then it is, as an AI robot is observing and said, this is different. This is the proof that you are talking with an intelligent person. Or that's another way to do it. It's a project of, I don't know, a couple of months work. I might do that. But you are an intelligent entity. You can see, you can observe, you can see the difference of these patterns of communication with an intelligent person, communication with a random number generator that makes bell curve. You can see the difference. As one model is the algorithm that I told you, I spoke about it in the book. This slide shows in Hebrew VAHT, Wahd, Arabic, WAHT, Wahid, Arabic. Value of V and W, V in Hebrew and W in Arabic is 6. Each character has a number. A has 1, H is 8, D is 4. Add all of these things together in Hebrew and in Arabic, two different languages. This is 19. Wahid, 1. There is one God, one field, a unified field. That is the God of Jesus, my God, 2,000-3,000 years ago, God of Muhammad, God of these dumb Hindus who made up all of these idols, Christian, Jew, Muslim, everybody. One creator of universes. Everybody says, tell them I am one, tell them I am one, tell them there is one. You stupid people kill each other 300 years. Muslims and Christians. Stupid Indians kill each other right now in India, Muslims and Hindus, Hindus and Christians, Christians and Jews. Oh, you are all dumb. There is one God. I told you what is it, it's the unified field. And its number is 19. And Dr. Rashad Khalifa. Rashad, his name Khalifa, his surname Dr. Rashad Khalifa, 1974. Discovered this. The word 19 only occurs once in Quran, 74:30. Its significance was discovered by Dr. Rashad Khalifa in 1974 with computer. And how Rashad Khalifa died in the mosque. Some stupid pieces of garbage Muslims killed him with knife. This is you, humans. How stupid you are. The guy spent his life discovering numbers in the book of God and tell you, idiots, your book is filled with numbers that God put there for you as sign, and they kill him. That's human. What can I do? Next one, this orange gold thing is chapter 112. Qul Allah Ahad. I painted this way. 112:1. Tell them there is only one God. It's not that Muslim God is Allah is better than Jew God, is Yahweh is better than Christian God. What is this? The Godfather and the 3-1-1-3 bullshit, the stuff that you made. There is only one for all of you. Painted this. Chapter 112 I explained in many pages. In the Holy Week on Earth. Go and read about the unity of God. Next one. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Tell them there is only one. unified field, unifying all of those four fields that you saw in one set of formula. You can describe how he creates. 1. Light. I made it 10/9/2012. Light. This screen capture is when I was capturing these images from the book to put in a slides for you. My mining software was mining using Phonics miner, and it was mining Ethereum. I looked and said, wow, look at that. He was hacking the mining software, CPU, all the networks that this mining software is connected to. At that moment I looked, I saw 94, 106, 107 and 110. Victory, we own the earth. You shall see soon. And 115. Chapter 115. I wrote a new chapter for Quran. A printed book has 114 chapters. In time of Muhammad, up to now. It's in Holy Week on Earth. Go and print it, add to your Quran if you are Muslim. And 111. You will be destroyed like chewed vegetable in the fire of hell. After all of these proofs and signs, you don't get it. You're too stupid to leave. Too stupid not to go to hell. All of these numbers in one shot, hacking the software in front of me. I looked, I captured the screen and put here. And the last one. Allah, Nur as-samawat wal-ard. God is light of universes and the earth. Next slide, English version. His light is like a lamp. A lamp in a glass on top of a niche. Glass is like a shining star. Lamp gets its light from a blessed olive tree, neither from the west nor the east. The oil creates light, but it's not touched by fire. Light upon light. God guides anyone that God wants with God's light, and God makes example for people. And God knows everything. 24:35. And I painted this. (24:35) in April 2014. And we end this with the image that I painted from the way he describes himself. It describes itself, the unified field. It says, I am the light, the energy, the power of the universes. The vacuum energy is the unified field, the creator.